Now, with me as well, it's Dr. Daniel Bober, psychiatrist and chief medical officer at Odyssey Behavioural Healthcare. He joins me. When we look at the studies, the SG talked about teenagers are spending 3 to 4 hours a day, and it risks poor mental health. But it also risks depression and anxiety, and it's twice the risk of that. But do you think a warning help? Well, it can't harm, but does it do it? Is it worth it?
Well, Richard, I don't think that it's going to hurt, but it may be a largely symbolic gesture. We live in a very different world now, and there are warning labels on everything. So I think in some way there's a dilutional effect where we have become so desensitized and habituated to these warning labels that I think they lose their effectiveness. Now, some of the studies show that the single time that people see them the first time, they are effective, but the more people see them, the more people ignore them, and they're desensitized to them. Now, we know this is a tremendous public health problem. 40% of children between the ages of 8 and 12 are using social media. It's important for kids to delay the use of social media as much as possible and not to have these devices in their bedrooms at night.
Now, you see, I on this program, we read a very good book, How to Break Up with Your Phone. And when we were reading that, when I was reading it, I learned a lot about the background of, the algorithms, the psychology that goes into the apps, the dopamine feeding effect.
Reward center, right.
The reward center, yes. And yet we know this. And parents know it, but what Claire was saying it's this feeling of helplessness. What do I do about it?
Well, I think these devices or these platforms are ubiquitous, as you said, but I think the solution begins at home. And a lot of these parents themselves are addicted to their phones, and they're not modeling healthy behaviors. We know that particularly young girls are prone to the effects of these social media platforms in terms of poor self-image, eating disordered behavior, bullying. So I think it really starts with the parents setting limits with these devices to get kids to at least back off. The goal would be 30 minutes of social media use. Maybe that's not realistic, but certainly we can do better than we're doing.
And with that in mind, where do we start? Do we start with the addicted parents and put them right, and then hope they move on to their children? Is it a problem for school? Because we've also seen cases, as you're familiar with, Doctor, school tries to ban people taking phones in, and suddenly there's a hurrah about that. I don't know where you begin here.
I think it really begins at home, and I think it begins doing simple things like not having phones at the dinner table, and that includes not only kids, but the parents. I think that's really the issue. As you say, these behavioral algorithms are highly reinforcing, and you're up against a mammoth, and I don't know that you can overcome it, so you have to start small.
That goes to all of us. I mean, if I think about myself at the dinner table, the phone, the temptation, as you say, the reward center. Do we need legislation? And I don't mean about the dinner table. Do we need legislation? Do you think there's a role for Congress in legislating against the companies in terms of the practices they can use? Or is that just another symbolic act that can be circumnavigated?
I think a lot of people will politicize it, and they'll say that it's some form of censorship. But maybe we do need some kind of regulation, again, because there's a public health interest, because we're talking about billions of people. Maybe it is something that the government needs to step in and do.
You see, Doctor, you talked earlier at the beginning, you talked about the size and scale and the health crisis that it exists. The problem is, surely, if all these people were addicted to drugs, they'd be lying on the floor. And it would be an obvious health issue. And the behavioural aspects of it will be clear for all to see. But this is more insidious, isn't it? Give me your experience of what you've seen in terms of the epidemic nature of it.
Oh, I have kids in my office who I've seen cutting themselves because they, conversate with other people online who do it. I've seen suicides related to it. But I think part of the problem is that there's a little bit of nuance to it. We're talking about active use versus passive use. The people that scroll through it and look at different things and don't actively use it tend to be the ones that have more problematic mental health issues. The question is are these social media platforms causing depression, or are the people who are more depressed actually using them more? So that's why we can't say there's a cause effect relationship. We can just say there's a link, there's a correlation. So I think that's what we have to kind of dig into.
Doctor, I'm very grateful. Thank you. We'll talk more about it. Thank you, sir.